Hi, welcome back to my channel and my first real video since its revival. My name's Jesper and I like to talk about investing in the future and especially within technology. So about a month ago, I posted an article to my website, jesbaek.com, going over the opportunity of ARM-based technology, semiconductor technology, and why it's a great time to invest in the sector right now. And actually, quite a lot of interesting events has taken place since the post went live. And in this video, I want to summarize what the article is about and go over some of the things that have changed since the time of writing. So Intel has enjoyed many years of being market leader in this field, but over the last couple of years, they have been struggling with setbacks in manufacturing and have seen competitors come at them from basically every side. And I actually start off my article by comparing Intel to some of the tech giants of the past, like IBM and Cisco, two companies that once looked unstoppable but are now only a shell of their former selves. Intel is the creator of what's called the x86 platform and architecture used in building semiconductor chips. It's been around for what seems like forever and is in virtually all desktops and laptops and servers with a compatible operating system like Windows, Linux, or Mac OS. AMD have over the last few years found a way to sort of beat Intel at their own game and have created x86 based chips that are much better value and have seen a huge increase in sales and popularity because of this. And at the same time, Intel has been continuously delaying their production of some of the more of their more advanced chips based on the 10 nanometer or 7 nanometer process, which is like in broad terms a way of making chips more efficient and powerful. So on top of all this, now a much simpler technology, the ARM-based architecture, has slowly been evolving, but very steadily over the last 15 years. ARM is inherently a sort of ultra power efficient chip with a much simpler instruction set than that of an x86 chip that have moved from sitting inside like the Nokias of old to now like highly advanced 7 or 5 nanometer processes inside some of the most powerful smartphones on the planet. And in fact, all smartphones on the planet are run on ARM. So you might have heard of Qualcomm, who provides chips for the vast majority of high-end Android-based smartphones. Then there's MediaTek, who provides chips to some of the lower and more budget devices, and there is of course an overlap there. But and then there's sort of these custom ARM-based chips from the likes of Apple and Samsung and Huawei. So the interesting thing about this is behind the scenes of these custom chips sits a rather unknown company, at least in the public's eye. They're called Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, or TSMC for short. And they're actually the world's most valuable semiconductor company. They build these custom chips for Apple and sometimes even Qualcomm and MediaTek as well. And even until recently, they also built chips for HiSilicon or Huawei. Samsung actually has their own manufacturing facilities. So TSMC, with their partners, are widely responsible for these insane spikes in performance we've seen on mobile chips since 2007 and the launch of the iPhone. And a big opportunity now lies ahead, which is really interesting. We've reached this point now. They're entering the very same market that the x86 platform, this creation of Intel, the industry that they've been sitting on heavily for like the last 40, 50 years. Because now both the likes of Amazon and Microsoft are moving their cloud-based data servers to ARM, and Google is working with TSMC to optimize what's called chip packaging methods. But last but not least, Apple actually managed to launch their first ARM-based laptops late last year. It's what's inside is what's called the M1 chip, designed by Apple but manufactured by TSMC. And this chip basically shocked the entire tech community with its absurd power to performance capabilities. And no one really believed Apple's charts. They were very vague at the launch event, but as soon as reviews started to come out and people got their hands on these machines, it became clearer than it has ever been that ARM is the future of computing. Even Apple's most basic offering, the M1 based MacBook Air from this year, managed to beat their highest and most expensive Intel based MacBook Pro, the 16-inch one from only a year prior. Microsoft has already built a variant of Windows, actually a few years ago, that runs natively on ARM. It is not a success story yet. It has basically no third-party compatibility. Not really true, but Apple have been the first ones to really provide a machine that has both proper hardware with these ARM-based chips and now software compatibility, because there is some issues here between going from x86 to ARM. But Apple managed to do this, and even x86 applications run, for the most part, amazingly well on these new chips. Then there's Nvidia, another really interesting player in this field, because they've laid out their plans to acquire the company behind these licensings of the ARM architecture. And well, all of this is to say that I personally am now betting big on the future of ARM, and I have picked up positions in both TSMC and Nvidia. I sort of round off the article by saying that I hope to see Intel turn things around soon. And what's really interesting about this is that since my article was published, they've actually finally acknowledged and taken sort of the first steps in dealing with these problems. They are getting a new CEO who is not just a salesperson like they've had for a long time, but an actual engineer. They have announced a chip at this year's CES, though that is still based on x86, but resembles some of ARM's or one of ARM's most famous features called Big Little, where you have these some powerful cores and some very power efficient cores that sort of creates this really good optimization for chips. And they're actually also in talks to outsource some of their production, including the i3 core, like some of their main products, though on the low end for now, to TSMC, which is, in my opinion, an extremely interesting and smart and respectable move. So, besides everything with Intel, the world has also been hit by a semiconductor shortage for vehicles here in the beginning of 2021, and governments around the world in the US and in China and Taiwan are now putting their efforts behind TSMC in supporting and dealing with this issue. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that ARM is the future of basically all computing for the next many years, and maybe even the next few decades. It's already in your dishwasher, it's in your smart speaker, it's in all the other IoT devices, it's in your smartphone, and now it's just starting to appear in our day-to-day work machines. So the entire enterprise sector, you and I, our gaming computers, our laptops, our workstations, everything. And I think there's very little down chance that this can go wrong. So I plan to invest into TSMC even more here in 2021. I'm already up over 50% in my position, even though I've only held it for a few months. And I am now truly excited to see what this technology brings, in my future, both on the investment side, but also just for the pure, tech nerd inside me. Yeah, that was actually it. I hope you found it interesting. Thanks for watching. You can, of course, go and read the article in its entirety on my website. I'll link it in the description. Please remember to like the video, share it, subscribe to my channel if you found it interesting, and if you'd like to see more of me in the future. If you have any comments on how I can improve, that would also be highly appreciated. And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.